put it into words.
Nope. I cannot put this into words.
That was Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez last night reacting to her stunning primary victory over Congressman Joe Crowley in New York's 14th Congressional District, which comprises of parts of Queens and the Bronx. It was an upset that shocked the political world. Now, Crowley was a powerful 10-term incumbent who had been tapped to become the next House Speaker if the Democrats win the majority in November. Instead, he lost his primary by 15 points to Ocasio-Cortez, a 28-year-old Latina and former Bernie Sanders volunteer who had never held political office and ran her grassroots campaign on a shoestring budget. Meanwhile, on the Republican side, the heated battle between Congressman Dan Donovan and challenger Michael Grimm turned out to be a landslide. Donovan easily defeated Grimm by a nearly 30-point margin. These results could have wide reverberations in the upcoming midterms, as well as the New York governor's race. So joining me now to parse it all out for us is Jarrett Murphy, Executive Director and Publisher of City Limits. Jarrett, welcome back to the program.
Thanks for having me here.
So I think we have to start with the big story of last night, and of course that was Alexandria's win over Joe Crowley. Please tell us how you saw it break out.
I think everyone is shocked by this, in part because these races, typically we don't have polling to tell us when someone is close or someone's closing the gap. I imagine Joe Crowley is pretty surprised this morning. As you mentioned, not only was he considered a possible next Speaker of the House, he's the head of the House Democratic Caucus, he's the head of the Queens Democratic Party. A few months ago, we were talking about Joe Crowley engineering the succession of Corey Johnson to be the Speaker of the City Council. That was basically his big move.
And that's actually a really big thing that I do want to get into is the fact that Queens politics plays a big role in New York's politics.
It does. It's always been among the most powerful of the Democratic organizations. You know, his word and his backing very important to candidates running citywide. And he was stunned, and it wasn't close. It was a fairly considerable victory by Ocasio-Cortez. I think, you know, people will be parsing this for a long time in terms of how this happened. I have to think that Crowley, by virtue of really showing little interest in this race, skipping debates, sending surrogates to debate, he got himself upbraided by the New York Times editorial board for doing that. Whether for karmic reasons or in terms of actual votes, that really seemed to come back to bite him.
Now, of course, already people are drawing comparisons between this race and, of course, the gubernatorial primary between, of course, Andrew Cuomo and Cynthia Nixon. Do you see any similarities?
In terms of the candidates being newcomers and women who are running from the left, obviously there are similarities. I don't think you're going to surprise Andrew Cuomo. He's got a lot more money. He has a lot more people kind of looking out for this threat. He has a lot of lead time to deal with Nixon. It could be a close race. We could see an upset, but it's not going to be a surprise like this. We'll see it coming if that happens.
Well, let's turn from Queens and the Bronx down to Staten Island, which was that was a very close, heated race. I shouldn't say close race, but a lot of people paid close attention to a very heated race. Dan Donovan came out on top. He, of course, got the endorsement by President Trump. Michael Grimm had been the congressman until he ran into some legal trouble.
Yes.
What's your take?
Interesting in a lot of ways. One is that in a lot of these primaries this year, the storyline around the country has been a Republican Party going further and further to the right, further toward the Trump wing, alienating the establishment. That didn't happen here. Despite the fact that, you know, Grimm was ahead in some polls, Donovan won an easy victory over Grimm. And that was a, you know, rational decision by Republican voters. He is a better candidate against the Democrat, Max Rose, Army Afghanistan veteran. This is one of those seats that the Democratic National Party has targeted as potentially one they can flip from red to blue. It has been blue before. It's a district where most of the registered voters actually are Democrats. But I think Max Rose would much have preferred to run against Michael Grimm with his checkered past than against Dan Donovan, you know, a responsible-looking guy, former DA, a person who doesn't have any huge skeletons in his closet or out of his closet. But that's the race that now Max Rose faces.
Well, I do want to turn from the political races to for Congress to the other branch of government, the judiciary, and we just had a big decision come down from the Supreme Court in regards to unions and membership.
Yeah, this is the Janus decision. This is like that scene in the Wile E. Coyote cartoons where he's standing on the sidewalk looking up and watching the anvil come down, come down, and not moving. Unions knew this was coming for a long time. They couldn't move. But this was a case that goes back to when Antonin Scalia was still alive. His death led to a tie in the Supreme Court that basically push this issue forward. This is about whether public sector unions can take dues from people who don't want to be part of the union and don't want to be part of their lobbying or their other efforts. It forces unions in the public sector to continue to advocate for their entire membership. They'll only get dues from those who choose to pay them. It's seen as a potential serious threat to unions' political power and therefore to the candidates who support them. What's unclear is how big a deal it will be here in New York, where unions are sort of really embedded in the political infrastructure. They have a lot of office holders who are going to support them no matter what. They have the ability sometimes to bring troops out. It's not really about the money they can donate. It's about the bodies they can put in the street to go door to door and ring phones. I think that we will be insulated, for better or worse, from the impacts of Janus here in New York versus other states where unions have less of a foothold.
All right. Well, of course, we'll see how that all plays out. Listen, Jared, thank you so much for joining us again. And we'll be looking forward now to the gubernatorial primary in September.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you.